So we recently released Don't Let It, which we've been pretty excited about. And I just kind of want to take some time and like talk a little bit about the process, how that kind of came together, and it always is mind blowing when I hear other artists like talk about like how a song comes to, be created and whether it comes from your brain and then into like lyrics and songs. And so I just want to kind of talk about that a little bit.
Do you remember if this is a song you brought and then we worked on it?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the process.
I had originally written this song very acoustically, which tends to be my way of writing anything as I grab my acoustic guitar. And so I was like, had a goal, almost this was going to have like more of a pop punk kind of feel to it. So like acoustic, and maybe if it went full band, it was going to have that type of vibe, like full band pop punk, 2009 type of vibes. And we sat down and started like working on it together, and it quickly changed, which I was like loving the
and
process.
I think the chorus, as you hear it now, is exactly as you brought it. I don't remember there being a single change to that.
We changed a lyric, so it was like, don't let it, I'm going to pull these lyrics up because I don't want to quote it wrong. Being our own song, I should have it memorized.
All of the songs I write, for whatever reason, are harder to remember than the songs I just listened to.
It's super weird.
I don't know why that is, but it's totally the case.
And it's always like, people make the jokes like, isn't it your song? Shouldn't you know the lyrics?
I know. That's like the reason why I don't, for whatever reason. I don't know.
I think maybe I overthink it. But I think it's also like when you're writing it, to me, sometimes I forget the lyrics because I'm like, we have different variations of what the chorus was or what the verse was. And then we change it. And then it's like, so chorus is, don't let it tear you apart. Don't let it tear you apart again and again. Don't let it say who you are, even when it feels like it's the end.
Yeah.
We changed that.
Okay.
And actually, that was kind of a Shane input, I think. Even when it feels like it's the end.
Yeah.
It was like, so, but yeah, the chorus was like pretty spot on. And that was something I was doing just the chorus on TikTok for a while, just, playing with it, singing it in different places. And, but I was pretty excited to bring it, to work on it together.
Yes. For Sounds and Silhouettes, holistically, Shane is a big part of writing on these songs. And most people who know you, Taylor, know Shane at this point.
We are one in
but
the
not
same.
Everyone who knows me necessarily knows him, just because you guys are out in Kansas and I'm here in Oklahoma City. But that's one of my favorite parts, actually, of the process, is co-writing with the three of us.
It's something we always like. Shane does he'll write poetry and stuff like that, and so we'd always talked about writing songs together. Like music is such a big part of my life, and so we're always like, let's write music together. And so it just naturally started happening. And now he's sitting here listening to our audios, and you can't see him on camera, but but yeah, that was a beautiful part of it, to be able to like we do so much in life together, and then to like step into this world as well is pretty beautiful.
It is. When you were writing the song initially, where did it come from?
I think so. When I looked around at life, I had some things actually with like some family members that it just was a really rough time. And I remember even just the thought of like, man, so many people get to that space where they're like, it's over, it's the end, there's no hope, there's and I've always I like to speak hope into people. And so when people feel like it's the end, they feel like, I don't really know what my purpose is, I don't know what to do next, what's the next step, like just overwhelmed with life. I was looking at some situations in some of my family's life and being like, man, what would I say to them like right now? What would I speak over this? And even that line that changed, even when it feels like it's the end, that hit spot on. And it was like, so that's where the chorus came first. And that's typically how I write anything, is like the chorus gets stuck in my head. And so I really wanted to write something that spoke life into like death, like when people feel like it's done.
Sometimes when you're in that place, hearing somebody say, you know, like, it's all going to be fine, don't worry about it, or just trying to good-heartedly offer some sort of solution or problem solving. I don't know that we're always ready to hear that when we feel that way.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that the song allows an offering of hope without demanding a solution or trying to fix the problem or trying to tell somebody it's all going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, it doesn't always turn out like everything's okay.
Right.
But really what it is an encouragement not to give up. That even when it is maybe not conceivably it couldn't get any worse.
Yeah.
Life is still worth living. You still have value. That the people around you still love you.
Yeah.
And you would be so missed, you know, if you gave up. It would be such a crushing blow to this world.
Yeah.
If you gave up. And hopefully when people hear the song, I think that maybe is my biggest hope. Don't give up. You know, if you're in a place where it doesn't feel like there's any light or there's any hope or there's any reason left to keep going, you are valuable. And who you are, your intrinsic value just as a human being, as a soul, is enough to keep giving, to keep putting effort, to keep taking one more step. That's it. I mean, really, take one more step.
And I feel like it's relatable, like, to anybody. And whether it's a relationship you've gone through, whether it's whatever it might possibly be, it's relatable in the sense that, like, we've all gone to a space to where, like, we're, like, either overwhelmed or anxiety or depression or feeling like there's, you know, like, what is the next step? And I think where we got to that point here is, like, it's not trying to pretend everything's okay and everything's just perfect and whatever, but it is, like, urging them to kind of, like, hold on long enough for that next step. And when we got to this, like, last chorus, like, we changed it up a little bit. And this wasn't originally like this. Like, we didn't originally end with a low chorus. Remember, we, like, actually started with a low chorus.
That's right.
And then we swapped that, like, the day that you, Shane, and I were here working on this. And we were like, what if we bring the emotion back to just, like, strip it all down? And we changed the lyrics up a little bit. And at the end of that chorus, we changed the second half. And it says, I know that it's been so hard. I know wow. I know that it's been so hard. I know you're barely holding on. And then just the final line is, but hold on. And I feel like that even speaks to me. Like, there's days where it's like that line speaks to me. And I didn't even know really the power in it when we wrote it, but it was like with the way it came together. And when you sent me that final the final mix, like, hearing it, I was like, oh my goodness, like, there's just so much power in that one line. And so that was another, like, change up that we did. It was like the chorus changed a little bit, and it was like, I loved it. I fell in love with it the moment we wrote it.
I think it's a chance from the production angle to take anything away that isn't just directly supportive of something honest and authentic, and just break it down and say, maybe conversationally, like, maybe I've been there and I know that this is so hard. And that's the reason why I think it speaks to me, is because it isn't dressed up. It isn't anything but just an honest offering of, please hold on.
I remember when I brought it to you, we played it back. We kind of listened to, like, the little thing, because actually, like, we had been working on a little different version at home, like, recorded some, like, percussion stuff, and kind of brought it together. And you listened, and you were kind of like, okay, now what do you want to do with it? Like, where do we want to go with this? And I was at a point, like, I want to just take it where it needs to go. Like, I'm okay with stripping anything out. We can change lyrics if we want. We can change the entire vibe. The chorus, even melodically, like, stayed the same. And so, like, the meat was still there. And actually, speaking onto the production side, like, that little like line that you put in on the very end, like that was you didn't tell me you were gonna bring it back right there. You just like added it in a, and I remember like playing that on the guitar a little bit, but that was based off of what you did originally when I was like, hey, can you make this sound better? And then you added like a little piano part, and so it's like that little melody like stuck in my head. So
for people who hear that at the end, we were trying to figure out a way to bring that line into the song, because during our process it had kind of become iconic to us, at least something, you know, Shane and you and I would always kind of sing. It wasn't there, but it was empty space that we're like, we always hear this in that space. And what I ended up doing is I ended up grabbing a mic just like this, an SM7, and singing it, and then really hard tuning it and pitching it up an octave, that's cool. And then throwing it like 100% wet reverb to give it that it's in the distance, kind of almost like a memory feeling. And I remember that felt right when a guitar didn't quite feel right, a piano didn't quite feel right. I was like, oh, that's it. When you're thinking about a song that someone's bringing you as a producer, it's really, at least in my mind, very important to keep in mind what is the heart in this song. And no matter where we go, that thing isn't missing, right? That it's still there the whole time. So in the beginning, you're kind of setting the stage in the story of the song that things aren't quite right. There's something kind of broken here, or something that I don't know how to fix or put back together. And so building those guitars in the front to be a little out of tune, in kind of a beautiful mess of a way, I thought was the right feeling. It was like, this is what that person kind of feels, right? Is a little off, and you don't know what's off. You can't quite put your finger on it, but it's not perfect, by any means. And then over time, you get this very potent sense that the person who's talking in the song wants this person to be okay. And so part of those production elements being a little bit more major and a little bit more hopeful and a little bit more bright, maybe, from where we start in that guitar, is part of the encouragement too. Like, this is happening, but I have hope still. For you. I have hope that you're going to make it, or that I'm going to make it. And I think the song ended up kind of going quite a different direction than it was first brought in. Just even the vibe and the energy of it.
Yeah, it's like you and I both been pretty heavily influenced by a lot of the same music, so it's like it's easy to kind of take that spin and like it just feels right. And when we were kind of testing more on the waters of like this kind of like 80s synth pop type of vibe, I had a blast, like just even like you're going through like trying out different sounds and like heavy synths that sometimes, because your brain works different than mine on like layers, and so you're putting things together and I'm just like I wonder how that's gonna work, and then next thing you know it's just like, oh, that's exactly how it should sound. And
the mad scientist approach.
I love
Everyone's looking on kind of concerned. Like, is this gonna work?
Did he just lose his mind? But there's ever like I can just like talk through like as the song's just like building, and it's like first chorus really leaves you kind of wanting more, and then originally I had kind of an instrumental after the chorus, and we go right back into the verse now. So it's like the chorus feels like it's about ready to go somewhere, and then it kind of goes right back down, but the energy's still there, like leaving you wanting more. And then we go into like kind of like the false full time.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, there it is.
Favorite techniques.
Yeah.
It's the false full time.
And it's like I can watch people when they're like listening. They're like, oh yeah, there's the beat, and there's like, oh okay.
We're not
Yeah.
showing you all our cards yet.
Yeah.
It's like
There's more.
one extra piece of momentum, one extra piece of momentum, until finally in the second half of the second chorus, you're like,
Yeah.
this is what I've been excited to hear.
Yeah.
This is what I've been waiting for.
And if you hadn't heard it on like TikTok, Instagram, or whatever, you don't really expect that sound. Like
Yeah.
when we hit that big second chorus, you don't expect it, and it's just like it's in your face. And
Yeah.
I remember you were playing. I don't even know what inspired it, but you just started like soloing over top of the thing, and you're like laughing at yourself. Like just, and-
Watch this.
Yeah. So you're like kind of joking around, and I'm like, yeah, that's gonna happen right there, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, really?
And so then you dialed it in, found the right what fit, and it just the song literally just kept going, and you're like, when that second chorus hit, you're like, I don't know how we can go bigger, and then that solo takes it bigger. There's elements that take it bigger.
It's like our version of the 80s saxophone break.
Yes.
You know, where like the guy's coming out, Kenny G's wailing over like a pop banger.
Yeah. Dude, I can still hear that solo as a sax solo.
Yes,
so,
totally.
You know,
Yeah.
that may happen one day.
Yes.
But it's just like I loved, and this is where it's like it was there, right? And then all of a sudden we're like, well, what if we bring it back down, and we just add that, like bring it back to the beginning, like all this energy happened, this hope is happening, like this uplifting part is happening, and then it's like, you know, again, like it didn't just all get better overnight. It didn't get better over the last 2 minutes of this song. Bringing it back to just remembering, like, hey, just hold on. And I remember we were getting ready to go, like we were pretty much done for the day, and we were like gonna go grab dinner, and we're gonna get pizza every time we're here. So we're out, and then we're just like trying to get it bounced out so we can listen to it on the car or in the car. And I was like, you're getting ready to hit bounce. I'm like, what if we added like a vinyl like crackle over top? And you're like, yeah, I got it. And you drug it in and mixed it real quick and export or bounce it. And it was like, it was exactly the piece that was like missing right there. Yeah. Just to bring it back down. And it just like, it just feels very real. It feels very raw, which is the way the song was written.
Yes.
So to
and
me,
the way
I
it
was
was
like,
produced, a lot of people won't know that the entirety of bringing a song to bouncing it was 24 hours.
Yeah.
And
Dude,
so everything, like literally everything somebody hears in that song happened within 24 hours.
Yeah.
It's just kind of flowing at the speed of thought. Like, oh yeah, let's do that. And what about this? Well, let's put that down. Oh, what if we did this? And we just did it. I don't think we kind of questioned.
No.
It really wasn't even time to second guess it.
No. We just
And I look back on that, I'm like, I'd love to write more like that.
Yeah.
Where it's not kind of, you don't have a chance to get in your head or to doubt it. It's just, this feels good, so let's do it.
Yeah. Because we were even doing that today, like getting in our head about something, and we're just like recording something. We both had our things we're noticing. We're just like, can we just do it again? Can we
to the point where I'm like, well, maybe we shouldn't put this out.
Yeah. I can sense that in your voice. I was like, oh man, I feel like the world needs it. But
yeah.
So then I want to talk a little bit about the acoustic version too. So it's like, I can't remember if we were working on, I think we were working on the next song, but we lost internet when we started talking about, we were working on one project and we lost internet, and
the way our system was working here at the time was that we really needed that to be able to work and authorize our stuff, and all
there was
stuff.
No way to move forward. So we're just like, what do we do right now? Like, what do we do with our life?
Yeah. And
we started talking about, well, what if we did an acoustic version of Don't Let It? So we literally grabbed acoustic guitars, and we were like in the middle of the room, and we were just like acoustic guitars, and we were like, this is cool, but it was like wasn't feeling right, trying a few different things. And then I remember you just being like, well, what if we just played it on the piano? And that being a very like sentimental piano for you,
of course.
Talk about that experience.
Well, in reference to the piano, it's the first instrument I literally ever touched. And when I was, before I was even born, my mom would sit at that instrument and play. And so maybe the first sounds I ever experienced as a conscious living being was that instrument.
That's amazing.
It's deep for me.
Yeah.
And now I get the great gift of caring for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a family legacy. But I'll sit there and I'll work out my emotions, my stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of become an extension of that. Sitting at the piano then with Don't Let It, getting totally back to the core emotion of that. Really, honestly, being a sad song.
Mm-hmm.
A song that's written inside of the context of some desperation and some hopelessness.
Yeah.
And outside of the production and outside of the song in the studio, it's a one-take
Mm-hmm.
performance, flaws and all, of that feeling.
Yeah.
And I think we both were a little nervous,
Yeah.
but excited by its authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doctoring. There's no, I mean, it's just mics in the room, and that's what you get. And cool that we were able to capture that then on video as well.
Yeah, the way, like, this is the first time setting up in there like that, and I literally just sat like Indian style in the middle of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I've never recorded a video like that. You're on the piano facing the wall, like, we just went for it. Mm-hmm. And I think we ran through it a few times just to like figure out the flow, but then we're like, all right, let's hit record. And
we didn't overthink it.
No. And it just felt perfect. Like,
yeah.
And then I think it was like we got done, and about 2 minutes later we heard doo-doo-doomp on your computer, and we were like, oh, that means we got internet back.
Yeah.
And it was just, to me, was just a perfect moment that was just like placed in front of us. Like, I don't know that we would have taken the time to do that day.
Yes.
And to me, like, I've had people listening to the full version and then this acoustic version. I've had some people like love the acoustic version so much more.
Yeah.
And I've had people talk about how it just hit home for them. And just the emotion in the way that was recorded. Mm-hmm. You could feel it in us. You could feel it in the room. Like, you could feel like you were in the room with us. Mm-hmm. So that was, I don't know, a very valuable time that we had to be able to take that song and then really kind of bring it way back to its roots. Mm-hmm. And yeah,
I hope the people who get a chance to listen to Don't Let It go back and hear that version.
Yeah.
Because it, like you said, it does speak differently.
Mm-hmm.
And it might just offer a different comfort or a different encouragement. So yeah, I hope people love it.
Me too.
Don't let it tear you apart. Don't let it tear you apart again and again. Don't let it say who you are, even when it feels like it's the end. Don't you know that you're bigger